Hello there. Once again, this is Anton from Anton Bay, and this has been a weird collection week of stuff that has come into my possession. Some of it I sought out, some of it just came to me. So, I guess we'll start off. My special guest action figures today is Drew Gulak, who was, he was great back in WWE, especially in the 205 Live, and Walmart is clearancing out all their WWE stuff. I couldn't believe it. This guy was on clearance. There was a bunch of everybody else was on clearance, and I picked up this Kenner version of Apone. It's NECA, but it's based on the old Kenner design of Apone for like $14 at Mayhem Comics in El Paso. Very pleased with that. My first comics I'm going to show today that I got, I picked up DC Comics first issue special number 8, and this is the first appearance of the Warlord. I love Warlord comics. A big fan of the series. He's basically a fighter pilot jet who crashes in Antarctica and winds up in a weird special, savage land type area. It's a little bit sword and sorcery. It's a little bit caveman or jungle stuff. A little bit sci-fi. A little bit of everything. Really good series. I highly recommend it. And I was super thrilled to pick up the first issue, and I think I spent like $9 on it. One of the more pricey books that I've shelled out for, but I know that's not pricey for a lot of people, but I was super thrilled to get it. The other thing I got Alien Worlds number 2. This series, it just continues to blow me away. I ended up getting Alien Worlds number 4. The art in these things is just gorgeous. I can't say enough good about these. Highly recommend them. I picked up Alien Worlds number 5. And if I remember right, PC stands for like Pocket Change Comics. I picked up issue number 6. Cover's not as good on that one. And then I picked up number 7. And that's pretty much that run. And I was, like I said, super thrilled to get it. I also picked up, very recently today, I picked up X-Men Blue. I was digging through a dollar bin at the same store that I got this Apone figure. And they didn't have a whole lot that really interests me because it's all really new stuff. But I picked up X-Men Blue number 9, 8, and 7. And I don't know. I haven't bought a new comic for so damn long. And these looked pretty good. I thought I'd give them a try. They were $1. I'm happy with them. The next thing I found at this same store was these WWE comics, which I thought would be crap. They're actually, I read a few on the way home, actually really good. You get like different comic eras or different eras of wrestling. So here's like the 80s, early 90s, Macho Man stuff. You get Undertaker. You get the New Day era. You just get all these different eras from different times and different wrestlers, and I was really impressed with the book. SummerSlam. If you've ever seen these and wondered what was going on with them, this is it. You get some Undertaker Mankind story. Then you'll get another story from some other period. There's a Dusty Rhodes story. I gotta say, the way they write Macho Man in these is hilarious. But yeah, these just kill me. Couldn't believe them. And they were $1 as well. Weird thing with the comic book store though, they were all in a bin and they all had like plastic bags on them, and they brought them up to the thing and ring them up. And the gal was like, "Do you want the bags? It's an extra 25 cents." And I was like, "What? You're selling them in the bag. You want the bag back?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's 25 cents if you want it in the bag." It was already in the bag. And I was like, "No, I think I just want the books. I don't really want to buy the bag." And so she's like, "Okay." And then she proceeds to like sit there and take them all out of the bag. Very odd. I have not ever bought comics that way before. That one wants to keep falling over. Roman always takes a dive. Yeah, some weird Bray Wyatt stories. If you're into wrestling at all, these are, I thought they would be super stupid, but they're actually really good. I've enjoyed every one of them that I've cracked open. Number 6. The art in them's good. Stories in them, eh. This one, however, This one has, I couldn't believe this. It has the Montreal Screwjob. It has a comic book story of the Montreal Screwjob. How nuts is that? That's nuts. You got a story with the Gobbledygooker. I'm a big wrestling fan, especially old stuff. So, you know, these are just awesome to me. And at $1 a piece, even without their bags, I was like, whatever, all right. Okay, so another thing I picked up a while back, I didn't actually get these today, but I did want to share them at some point. They made a Betty Page comic. This is by Dynamite. This is more a modern book. Probably one of the more modern books I've ever bought, as opposed to these. I think these are... Oh, where's the year? 2017. Yeah, it's probably as new as everything. The cover would lead you to believe these are racy, weird books. They're not at all. It's literally Betty Page as a secret agent for the FBI fighting communists. Great stuff. Ridiculous. I've been a Betty Page fan for years. Saw her documentary on YouTube. Really, really interesting life that she lived. I thought it was really interesting. It's probably not quite as exciting as the life as fighting communists, but I have issue 1, 2, 3, 4. I think all of these covers are... I can't remember what these covers are. They look like Olivia covers, but I don't believe they are. I think they are like knockoff Olivia covers. But yeah, it's just Betty Page as a secret agent working for the FBI. Issue number 4, issue number 5, and issue number 6. And that's pretty much all of those I got. But they've been sitting around, and I came across them the other day, and I was like, oh, these are so weird, I have to share these. So there's those. What else have I got? This week, I donated some stuff to a store, a local thrift shop, and they had a pile of old books sitting there on the shelf, kind of rotting away. And I was like, how much do you want for those old ratty comics? And the dude was like, you know what, with what you're donating, man, just take them. You can just have them. So I was like, I'll do that. They are extremely rough. They are very, very rough shape. But a comic is a comic. And to get Web of Spider-Man 72, I will take that. I'm not against that. Neo-Nazis Must Die. Plus it had Silver Sable on it. We get Marvel Tales featuring Spider-Man 282. And like I said, these things are, I mean, they're barely worth keeping. They are really trashed, but he said he got them out of a house. You can see the covers coming off of that one. But I just can't bring myself to chuck them. He couldn't either, but he knew he couldn't get anything out of them really. So he's just like, just take them. I'd rather somebody had them than we just threw them away. And I agreed to that. So I got Adventures of the Outsiders number 36. I liked the cover on that. Tales of the Marine Corps Semper Fi number 1. Or Semper Fi, my bad, sorry. Marvel military book. Interesting looking stuff. I always love, even if it's old, I'm going to take it. Even if it's in terrible shape, I'm interested. I'm not like not like a grader hound or anything like that, but these are borderline from what you can tolerate as far as roughness, but for free, I'll take them. There's Uncanny X-Men 303. We got X-Men number 37, the Phalanx Covenant. This is not the X-Men or the Phalanx Covenant I'm looking for. I really want to get Uncanny X-Men 317. It's a book I really want to get my hands on because that's it's the first appearance of Blink. She's one of my favorite characters. Green Lantern Mosaic number 15, really rough shape. Like I said, these books are rough shape. I'm not going to even dispute that. But they're cool in their own way. Silver Surfer number 72. That is like a ratty, almost dead version of Avengers 267. It's amazing how trashed these can get. Here's a Charlton Comics fighting Marines. I'm like, don't throw it away. I'll take it. I'll do something with it. I'll read it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it exactly, but how can you leave a comic that old? How can you just let it get thrown away? Web of Spider-Man number 75. And then we get into the really rough stuff, which I'm just going to breeze through real quick. You had a whole bunch of stuff with no covers. Oh, Our Fighting Forces in Action, Charlton Comics number 30. This being an old military town, these are really cool to me. Oh, and there was a G.I. Joe that's also in rags. Like I said, they're free. What are you going to do? Then he just had a whole bunch of like, man, just, I didn't see that one in there. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 165. It's rough. But... Okay, so the really rough books, you get just like pages. Most of these have had their covers pulled off. And they're not worth anything. They're basically trash. I know that, but there's still amazing art in them, and it's hard to just throw it away. Here's an old Ninja Turtles with no cover, which I thought was pretty cool. But, you know, what do you do with this stuff? You can throw it away. Some of it's older. Well, it's a lot older than I am. It's just hard to toss it. But anyway, I don't know what you guys do with these. Let me know what you guys do with them. There's Rescue Rangers. Part of me wants to toss them. Part of me's like, well, there's something cool in them. I should at least read them. So anyway, I'm gonna pull those down because they are awfully ratty. Anyway, you guys tell me, what would you do with a pile like that? Like I said, I have trouble throwing that type of stuff away. Now, today, while I was in El Paso, I stopped at probably my favorite comic book store in town. It is called Black Sheep Comics. If you're ever in El Paso, go check it out. It's the tiniest comic book store you'll ever see, but it probably has more actual comics that you want than any other place. And I found this chunk of weirdness. Issue of Rock Fantasy number 3, Led Zeppelin. They had a whole bunch of different bands. There was Rock Fantasy with Poison, Rock Fantasy with Bon Jovi in it. And they're literally just a weird rock fantasy book with Led Zeppelin in it. I have never heard of such an oddness. I was just blown away by it. I was like, I have to buy this. This is just too weird. So anyway, there. You need one of those. You need to go out and find these. I didn't even know they existed. I also found an issue of Undertaker number 9. Chaos comics suck. Let's just face it. But I had been finding wrestling comics all day, and so I was like, I'm not going to leave an issue of Undertaker. And Chaos comics are the typical ridiculous crap, but they always have a very McFarlane-esque art style to them that is enjoyable to read or look at. They're not really enjoyable to read. I got issue number 8 of Warp. I'm a big Warp fan. It's very, very strange sci-fi, wizardry stuff. And it's a good book. I'll grab those anytime I see them. And this one, just, I don't know, had to grab it. I found an issue of Vanguard Graphics, The Privateers number 1. And I've been on this like 80s kick of like obscure 80s comics. And this was in a 50-cent bin. And I'm like, I'm getting it. And I got quite a few issues of various things from this bin. First Comics, Star Slayer. The Log of the Jolly Roger for 50 cents. It's hard to pass on some books like this. I knew I had one issue of Rediff, and so but I didn't think it was this one, so I went ahead and grabbed it just because the art in these is really great, really bizarre. It's great black and white stuff, and that's what I've been getting into lately. Barbaric Tales by Period Comics number 2. This thing is just another one of those probably late 80s. 86. Right after the big Ninja Turtle explosion, when everybody knew that independent comics could suddenly be something more than they were. And just some wild art, wild concepts and stuff like that. Nothing was off limits back then. You could just do whatever. I had to grab this one based entirely on the cover alone. It is so odd. Delta Squadron, Defense Elite for launching team of action. How ridiculous. And the cover looks like it was made with like a magic marker. But yeah, great. The art inside looked good. It looked like somebody's, you know, love project. Couldn't leave it there. 50 cents. I'm going to get it. I got a issue of Arrow Comics, The Realm, number 4. Which I thought was pretty fantastic looking. 50 cents. I'll do that. Found another issue of Retif. And for all the same reasons, I grabbed it for as I did the first one. This is Surge from the DN Agents. A series that I've done a video on is DN Agents, and I was a pretty big fan of it. And I hadn't seen this one, and it just looked, it's just like one of the team members in his own series. Couldn't pass on it. Just looked like something I had to get. I've started grabbing basically anything from Blackthorn that I see. This is Labor Force. I've got like the first couple issues of Labor Force, and I enjoy the art style in it. The storytelling is weird, but just like all these independent comics, these black and white things, it feels unrestricted. You know, you don't have Marvel or DC breathe down your neck to decide what you can or can't do. And so I just thought that was cool. Here's another one from '86, Stark Future. I've had this issue before. I never really gave it a chance. It just sat in the back of my stuff, and I always kept it because I thought it has Les Claypool on the cover. At least that's what I always thought. I grabbed a couple of issues of The Good Guys from Defiant. They're not black and white, they're color. But I've been snagging more of these Defiant titles. They actually have quite a few books, and a lot of them are pretty well done. The art's pretty high standard. The book publishing quality is really good. And yeah, it's kind of one of those offbeat titles. Magnus Robot Fighter, 4000 AD. This is like reprints of old Magnus Robot Fighter stuff. It's by Dark Horse. It's not that old, but I was still really thrilled to see it there, so I'm grabbing it. I grabbed a few issues of American Flag because I love First Comics. And this is American Flag number 3. There's always a good deal of humor in American Flag issues. You can see the guy's kind of a chucklehead, but they're extremely likable books. I'll just put it that way. American Flag number 50. I grabbed American Flag number 49. And I know I already have a few issues, but I don't think I have any of these issues, because none of these covers look familiar, so I'm like, I'm grabbing them. American Flag number 33. The art stayed pretty consistently all the way through these. I don't remember any issues that were off. Here's 32. Good stuff. American Flag number 6. American Flag number 30. American Flag Special number 1. American Flag Power Corrupts number 1. I grabbed American Flag 43. And then finally I grabbed American Flag number 42. Once again, the art in these is always fantastic. The comedy is hilarious. It's good stuff. Let me adjust that slightly. I picked up an issue of Prime Annual number 1. I have a lot of Primes, but I didn't have this one, so I was really impressed to see it. And it's, of course, weird and gross, as Prime always was. But yeah, I've always loved the cover on this. It's Boris Vallejo, or I can't remember the last name. It's Boris something. Famous fantasy artist. Good stuff. Fantastic work that he always did. I can get those to sit there, right? I picked up an issue of Mantra number 11 because it's one I don't believe I have. And issues of Mantra are probably the hardest of the Ultraverse series to find. And I was glad to find it. As I said, I'm always grabbing Defiants that I find now that I don't have. This is Defiant Universe, Origin of the Defiant Universe number 1. Which basically outlines everything that's going on, how the series got made. So yeah, I was like, I better grab that so I know what's going on. I don't like that these are sinking, but we're gonna keep going. Getting to the end here. Now, I have a lot of issues of Warriors of Plasm, but I didn't have number 1. It's a book you'll find in almost any quarter bin or 50-cent bin or whatever. The colors always are ridiculously bright and odd, and very, very neon-y. Had to get it because it's number 1. I found this thing, and it was so weird sitting in the box of everything else that I had to get it. August number 2, Power Comics. I've never heard of that. The cover is very grainy, like thick newspaper. Very, very odd, unapproachable feeling book. But the art inside of it was really good, and it looks like a collection of different stories from different artists. So I was intrigued. I was like, for 50 cents, I know it's in bad shape, but it's like those raggy comics that I got earlier. How can you just throw it away? How can you just leave it there? It's a thing I've never seen, and in comics, that's rare. If you haven't seen it before, give it a try. Even though I think I have the whole series of D&A Agents, actually I did a whole video with the complete series of D&A Agents. In my brain, I did not remember seeing this issue, so I didn't know if this was a variant or what, but I grabbed it just in case. 50 cents, it's D&A Agents number 14. Wasn't gonna leave it. I grabbed Alter Ego number 4 of 4. It's a First Comics about anything by First or Eclipse. Of course, I'm gonna grab it. And it had good content. I see rockets. I see like jungle guys. I see a green lady. These are all the things that I go for in comics. So Alter Ego number 4. Grab that, and I like the cover. There's Alter Ego number 3 of 4. Oh, did I manage to snag the whole series? I did. I just held it up in the wrong order. I got Alter Ego 1 through 4. I guess I'm all set. I didn't realize I was able to pick up the whole one. You know how sometimes when you're digging, you just grab them? Yeah, I got the whole set. Nice. I surprise myself sometimes. Ultraverse comic, War Strike. Not a very good Ultraverse comic, but when I'm trying to finish out and get every issue of Ultraverse that they ever made, it's one you got to pick up. And it's one I didn't have, so I picked up War Strike number 7. This thing I had to buy based entirely on the name. This is Canyon Comics issue 1, Chasm, Guardian of the Grand Canyon. As if the Grand Canyon needed a guardian. It just cracked me up. The concept cracked me up. The art's kind of juvenile looking, but I like it. Just ridiculous. So odd that I couldn't leave it, and I had to buy it, and I had to share it. So there it is, Chasm, Guardian of the Grand Canyon. Okay, got this. It's aristocratic extraterrestrial time-traveling thieves. The name alone makes you buy the book. The art inside looks great. Looks like it's a comedy, kind of. Aliens, time travel. How can you leave it? It's 50 cents. I've never seen it. I grabbed First Comics Sable. I'd never seen these before, and I'm trying to get more into Sable comic or First Comics. Trying to get everything I can from First and Eclipse because they're just so damn good. But I picked up issue number 16. I mean, remember, these guys make Nexus, and that's one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite titles of all time. John Sable Freelance, another one from First. This is issue 14. Yeah, couldn't leave it. I got another issue of The Good Guys, number 4. Like I said, Defiant stuff. I'm going to snag it when I see it because I am. I'm just going to. Here's another issue that's got a really, really off-putting texture of cover. It's very newspapery and weird. Rough. But it was from a comic company that I'd never seen. This is Power Comics starring the Northern Light. Issue number 4. The art looked amazing in it. It feels kind of yellowed. At least the first half of the book feels very yellowed. The back, the mid part doesn't feel as yellowed, but it's still pretty yellowed. But I got it just to kind of, not just to check out the book itself, but some of these books have ads for other books, and it tells me about things that I didn't know about. And that's how I'll find more comics to look for. I'm like, now I gotta look for that. Another issue of Saber, number 3. Solson, Thunder, number 1. Solson is a publisher that made a lot of these type of books. And so when I saw it and I was like, oh, Solson, it's a #1. Yeah, I'm gonna grab it. So there's Thunder #1. Wings, Learn to Fly. This is MU Press, #1. Didn't really know what to think of it. It looks like a little bit newer book, but it was black and white, looked halfway decent. 50 cents, give it a try. Chaos, Prince of Madness, Warp Special. This is another first comic. I can never leave these, especially if it's got Warp tie into it, because that's just nuts stuff. Picked up an issue of Alien Legion. I think I got 2 issues of it. Nope, apparently not. Apparently I got Alien Legion #1, and I actually have some trades of this. It's aliens, it's space, it's good art. It's the kind of book I would pick up. First Comics, Star Slayer. It's another one of the Jolly Log of the Jolly Roger books. And like I said, it's a first comic and a title that I didn't have any of, so I was really glad to find a few titles of it, or a few issues of it. It wasn't something I was going to leave. I'm also been grabbing any Eternity comics I see, because they've got some just really amazing stuff in them that I really enjoy reading. Here's Street Heroes 2005, which I suppose would have been the future back then, obviously. But very dark, very good art, very gritty. Most Eternity stuff was pretty gritty. How can you leave it? It's 50 cents. My total was a little high, but I bought 3 long boxes too, so. This is Captain Confederacy. I bought it based entirely on the title alone, because I was like, Captain Confederacy? That's kind of ridiculous, strange, and certainly not something you'd ever see today. But had to get it, had to give it a chance. Art looked good, and that's all it takes to buy a comic. Picked up Adventures, because I've been really getting into the art in these type of books. There's Adventures, there's about 3 or 4 other titles similar to this that are all like sword and sorcery, black and white stuff that's quite enjoyable. And Spectrum Books #1, The Survivors, first issue. It's a first issue, it's black and white, it's from a company I haven't heard of, and it's in space, and it looked interesting. It's got metal tentacle things in it, aliens. It just looked like something that I didn't want to leave. Look, robot spiders. You can't leave a comic with robot spiders. That'd just be crazy. Not for 50 cents. Anyway, that is my stash. That's what I got today. Picked all those up. Had a good day of hunting. Had a good week of mail coming in. I was super pleased with it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you're ever in El Paso, be sure to check out Black Sheep Comics. They are, like I said, probably one of the better comic shops in town. I also really recommend Rebel Comics. For he has a large stock, so I recommend those. If you're ever in that area, check them out. It'll take you all of 5 minutes to scout out Black Sheep Comics. It's not very big, but if you really start digging, they got a lot more there than you think. That's good. Anyway, that's my video. That's my story. Hope you guys liked it. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.